First contact fallout. The nebula spear cut through the darkness of space, its hull gleaming with a strange iridescence that seemed to both absorb and reflect light simultaneously. It wasn't the largest warship ever built, not by human standards and certainly not by the standards of the species that ruled the stars beyond Earth's solar system. But size had long ago ceased to be the defining characteristic of military power. Commander Maya West stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. The holographic projection showed the approaching hegemony vessels, 12 of them, each at least 4 times the size of the nebula spear. Their formations were textbook, exactly as the intelligence briefings had predicted. The aliens thought in rigid patterns, a byproduct of 5,000 years of unchallenged military dominance. "They're broadcasting again, Commander," Lieutenant Corey said from the communication station. "Same message as before." Maya nodded. "Let's hear it one more time." The alien voice filled the bridge, the translation matrix converting the complex harmonics of the hegemony language into flat, emotionless English. "Primitive vessel, you have violated sovereign hegemony space. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Your species will be evaluated for potential client status. Resistance will result in immediate termination." A smile touched the corner of Maya's mouth. "They still think we're using conventional drives. Their scans can't penetrate our quantum shell," Chief Engineer Alvarez replied, pride evident in his voice. "As far as their sensors are concerned, we're running on fusion propulsion with maybe a crude form of antimatter catalysis." 3 weeks ago, an automated hegemony scout ship had detected Earth's quantum communications network. The signals, which shouldn't have been detectable by any known technology, had somehow triggered an ancient alert protocol. Within days, a hegemony diplomatic vessel entered the solar system, broadcasting messages about peace, cooperation, and the benefits of joining their grand civilization. The offers had seemed generous on the surface: technology, resources, protection. What the hegemony diplomats hadn't realized was that humanity had been watching them for almost a century, through quantum observation platforms that existed partially outside normal space-time. Earth had seen how the hegemony treated its client races, at best as servants, at worst as slaves or experimental subjects. When the hegemony ultimatum came, join or be subjugated, Earth's Unified Defense Council had authorized a response. The nebula spear was that response. "All systems at full combat readiness," reported Tactical Officer Rahman. "Quantum torpedoes primed. Shield harmonics randomizing on a 5-millisecond cycle." Maya studied the tactical display again. The hegemony battle group had arranged itself in a classic envelopment pattern. They expected the primitive human vessel to either flee or surrender. They didn't expect it to attack. They certainly didn't expect what was about to happen. "Activate the Mobius protocol," Maya ordered, her voice calm. Throughout the ship, crew members tensed. The Mobius protocol had never been used in actual combat before. In simulations, it had proven devastatingly effective, but simulations weren't reality. "Mobius protocol active," announced the ship's AI, its voice serene. "Quantum displacement in 3, 2, 1. The fabric of space-time folded around the nebula spear. To an outside observer, the ship would have appeared to blur, as if viewed through rippling water. In reality, the vessel was now existing in multiple probability states simultaneously, a quantum superposition maintained by technology that the brightest minds in the hegemony wouldn't develop for another 1,000 years. "Fire quantum torpedoes. Full spread," Maya commanded. The weapons launched, but not in any conventional sense. They didn't travel through space. They simply existed at their launch point one moment, and then existed at their targets the next. There was no travel time, no chance for evasion, no opportunity for countermeasures. 3 hegemony warships simply ceased to exist, their atomic structure completely destabilized by weapons that attacked not just on the physical plane, but across multiple quantum states simultaneously. The hegemony fleet's response was immediate and predictable. Energy weapons blazed, seeking a target that existed in too many states to hit. missiles launched, guided by targeting systems trying desperately to lock onto a ship that, from their perspective, was everywhere and nowhere. Second salvo, Maya ordered. Target their flagship. 4 more quantum torpedoes materialized inside the shields of the Hegemony command vessel. The massive ship didn't explode. It simply came apart, its structure unraveling as the quantum weapons rewrote the very laws of physics in a localized area. On the primary Hegemony homeworld, Grand Admiral Zex Calter watched the battle through a direct neural feed. Impossible, he thought. The readings must be corrupted. The primitive species had only achieved spaceflight a few centuries ago. Their most advanced propulsion systems were crude fusion drives. Their weapons were conventional energy beams and chemical explosives. Yet he was watching his elite battle group being systematically dismantled by a single enemy vessel. Full retreat, he ordered, his voice tight with rage and disbelief. All vessels disengage immediately. But it was too late. The nebula spear had already shifted position again, appearing directly in the midst of the remaining Hegemony ships. What followed wasn't combat in any traditional sense. It was execution. The human vessel moved with impossible precision, weapons firing with devastating effect, while the Hegemony ships couldn't land a single hit in return. Within 12 minutes, the entire Hegemony battle group had been neutralized. No distress calls had been sent. No warnings transmitted. As far as the rest of the Hegemony was concerned, 12 of their most advanced warships had simply vanished. Admiral Zex Calter stared at the empty tactical display, his mind struggling to process what he had witnessed. The humans shouldn't have been capable of this level of technology. The Hegemony's intelligence network was the most sophisticated in known space. They had been observing Earth for decades. Nothing in their reports had suggested technology even remotely approaching what he had just seen. A communication request flashed across his neural interface. Source: unknown. Protocols: bypassed. Security measures: irrelevant. With growing dread, he accepted the connection. The human commander appeared in his mind's eye, her expression calm, almost sympathetic. Admiral Zex Calter, she said, pronouncing his name perfectly. I am Commander Maya West of the United Earth vessel Nebula Spear. How are you accessing my neural interface? He demanded. This is a secure military channel. Your technology is impressive, Admiral. Maya replied. For its time. But you've grown complacent. 5,000 years of unchallenged dominance has left the Hegemony stagnant. What do you want? Zex Calter asked, struggling to maintain his composure. I want you to deliver a message to your High Council, Maya said. The battle you just witnessed was not an act of war on our part. It was a demonstration. The Nebula Spear is not a warship, Admiral. It's a scout. A scout. Zex Calter couldn't hide his disbelief. Yes. Maya's expression hardened. Our actual fleet will arrive in your space within 72 of your hours. When it does, the Hegemony will have a choice to make. You can recognize Earth and all human colonies as sovereign and independent, or you can continue to think of us as primitives to be subjugated. She smiled then, but there was no warmth in it. Choose carefully, Admiral. The Nebula Spear was instructed to minimize casualties. Our fleet will be under no such constraints. The connection terminated, leaving Admiral Zex Calter alone with a truth too terrible to contemplate. The species the Hegemony had dismissed as primitive had not only mastered technologies beyond their comprehension, but had been watching them, studying them, preparing for this moment. And now, the full human fleet was coming. When stars go dark, Grand Admiral Zex Calter stood before the Hegemony High Council, his normally imposing figure diminished by the weight of what he had to report. The council chamber, carved from the living rock of the Hegemony's ancestral mountain on their homeworld of Calaxia Prime, had witnessed 5 millennia of triumph and expansion. It had never before heard a tale of such complete defeat. Impossible, High Counselor Vex Meller hissed, her scaled crest flaring in anger. Our intelligence on the humans is extensive. They are primitive, fractious. Their technological development is at least 800 years behind our standard benchmark for interstellar civilization. I witnessed it myself through direct neural link, Sex-Calter replied. One vessel. A scout, they called it. It destroyed our entire battle group using technology that our most advanced theoretical physicists cannot explain. The chamber erupted in angry debate. Some counselors accused Sex-Calter of incompetence or delusion. Others demanded immediate military retaliation. A few, the wisest among them, sat in troubled silence, and now they claim their main fleet approaches. Asked Elder Tivsorix, the oldest member of the council, his voice cutting through the chaos. How long do we have? Less than 30 hours, Sex-Calter answered. Every available warship in the sector is being redirected to form a defensive line, but he hesitated. If what we faced was truly just a scout, I fear it will not be enough. On the bridge of the Nebula Spear, Commander Maya West reviewed the tactical data from their engagement with the hegemony forces. The ship's quantum eye had compiled a comprehensive analysis of the aliens' weapons, shields, and tactics. Their technology is impressive in some ways, she mused, scrolling through the report. Their energy management systems in particular are quite elegant, but hopelessly outdated in others, Chief Engineer Alvarez added. They've been the dominant power for so long they've had no reason to innovate. Their shield harmonics haven't changed in what our estimates suggest is over 3 centuries. Maya nodded. The hegemony's stagnation wasn't surprising. Humanity's path to the stars had been very different from that of most spacefaring species. Where others had enjoyed relatively peaceful evolutions, with plenty of time and resources to develop their technologies gradually, humans had faced extinction-level crises multiple times. The climate catastrophes of the 21st century, the resource wars of the 22nd, the nanotech plague of the 23rd. Each disaster had pushed humanity to the brink, and each time they had responded with unprecedented innovation. Maya herself was a product of that crucible. Born in the underwater arcology of New Jakarta after the old city had been claimed by rising seas, she had grown up in a society where adaptation wasn't just encouraged, it was necessary for survival. Her parents had been quantum physicists working on the theoretical applications of dimensional folding, technology that eventually led to humanity's greatest breakthrough, the ability to manipulate the fundamental fabric of reality itself. Fleet transmission coming in, Commander, Lieutenant Curry announced. Admiral Chen sends her compliments and reports all vessels have successfully transited. They'll be in position within the hour. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Acknowledge and send my regards. The human fleet that emerged from quantum space near the outer boundary of the hegemony core systems was unlike anything ever seen in the galaxy. Each of the 37 vessels shared the same iridescent hull as the Nebula Spear, but their designs varied wildly. Some were sleek and predatory, others geometric and abstract. What they all had in common was their complete invisibility to conventional sensors. The only reason the hegemony knew they had arrived was because the humans wanted them to know. Admiral Leona Chen, Supreme Commander of Earth's Expeditionary Force, stood on the bridge of the flagship Quantum Ascendant. Unlike traditional military vessels with rigid command hierarchies, the bridge was arranged in a circle, with Chen at the center, surrounded by her command staff. The hegemony has assembled quite the welcoming committee, she observed, studying the tactical display showing over 600 alien warships arranged in a defensive formation. Status of our diplomatic channel. Open and waiting, Admiral, replied her communications officer. The hegemony High Council is standing by. Chen nodded. Put me through. Throughout the hegemony core whirls, on millions of displays and neural interfaces, Admiral Chen's image appeared. She was an older woman, with silver streaking her black hair and lines of experience etched into her face. When she spoke, her voice was calm and measured. People of the hegemony, I am Admiral Leona Chen of the United Earth Fleet. 3 days ago, one of our scout vessels was threatened by your forces. That vessel defended itself using a fraction of its capabilities. I understand this has caused considerable concern among your leadership. On Calaxia Prime, the High Council watched in stunned silence. Their most secure communication networks had been hijacked with apparent ease. Let me be clear, Chen continued. We did not come here seeking conflict. Earth has observed the hegemony for nearly a century. We have seen how you treat those you consider lesser species. We have witnessed the exploitation, the experimentation, the casual cruelty justified by your perceived superiority. She leaned forward slightly. That ends today. On the tactical displays across the hegemony fleet, alarm signals flashed as human vessels began to move. Not toward the defensive line, but around it, through it, appearing and disappearing as they shifted through quantum states that hegemony sensors couldn't track. What you are witnessing, Chen explained, is not an invasion. It is a demonstration. Each of our ships is now positioning itself near one of your major military installations. They will not attack unless provoked, but neither will they be deterred by your weapons. Grand Admiral Zex Coulter watched with growing horror as the impossible scenario unfolded. Human vessels were materializing inside planetary defense grids, the side space stations, next to fleet headquarters. Defense systems activated automatically, only to find their targets existing in quantum states that made them effectively invulnerable. 3 centuries ago, Chen's voice continued, humanity faced extinction. Climate change had rendered much of our planet uninhabitable. Our resources were depleted. Our population was fragmented and desperate. We survived not through conquest or exploitation, but through adaptation and cooperation. Images began to appear alongside her transmission. Earth's flooded cities transformed into thriving underwater habitats, devastated landscapes reclaimed by advanced biotechnology, orbital habitats constructed from asteroid materials. We learned that true strength comes not from domination, but from resilience, not from stagnation, but from constant evolution. The technology we now possess wasn't stolen or borrowed. It was developed through necessity. On the Quantum Ascendance Bridge, Admiral Chen received a priority communication from Commander West. Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from several hegemony vessels. They appear to be preparing to fire. Chen nodded. She had expected this. All ships implement Schrödinger protocol. Throughout the human fleet, quantum generators surge. The vessels didn't raise shields in any conventional sense. Instead, they temporarily shifted their probability states, existing in multiple potential realities simultaneously. When the hegemony ships fired, their weapons passed through empty space. The human vessels hadn't moved. They had simply adjusted which quantum reality they fully existed in. Your weapons cannot harm us. Chen addressed the hegemony forces directly now. But we have not come to destroy you. Unlike the hegemony, we do not believe in subjugation or extinction. We believe in choice. She straightened, her expression resolute. Here are your options. First, you can continue this pointless aggression. If you do, we will be forced to neutralize your military capability. We will not target civilian populations, but we cannot guarantee there will be no collateral damage. The Hegemony High Council chamber had descended into chaos. Some members were demanding immediate surrender, others calling for a fight to the last ship. Second, Chen continued, you can recognize the sovereignty not only of Earth and all human settlements, but of every sentient species in this galaxy. The era of the hegemony as an unopposed power has ended. The age of cooperation and mutual respect must begin. On Calaxia Prime, Elder Tivsorex slowly rose to his feet, his ancient voice cutting through the panic around him. We must hear them out, he said, his authority silencing the others. 5,000 years of domination has made us complacent, arrogant. Perhaps it is time for change. The communication link between the Quantum Ascendant and the High Council chamber established, with Admiral Chen facing the assembled leaders of a civilization that had ruled the stars since before humans had invented the wheel. You speak of cooperation, High Counselor Vex Miller said, her voice tight with suppressed rage. Yet you threaten us with technology we cannot counter. How is this different from the dominance you claim to oppose? The difference, Chen replied calmly, is that we are not here to rule. We have no interest in governing the hegemony or controlling its resources. Our goal is simple: to ensure that no species, including humanity, faces exploitation or extinction at the hands of another. And if we refuse these terms, Zex Coulter asked. Commander Maya West's voice joined the conversation. Then we demonstrate why that would be unwise. At her command, the Nebula Spear activated its primary weapon system, not targeting any hegemony vessel or installation, but a small, uninhabited moon orbiting Calaxia Prime's sister planet. The quantum lance didn't destroy the moon in a conventional explosion. Instead, the celestial body simply ceased to exist in normal spacetime, leaving nothing but an empty orbital path where a mass the size of Mercury had once been. Silence fell across the hegemony worlds as the implications became clear. Their civilization, their military, their very existence continued only because the humans allowed it. The choice is yours, Admiral Chen said softly. But know this: the galaxy is changing. The hegemony can change with it and survive, or it can cling to the past and perish. 3 days later, representatives from Earth and the hegemony signed the Calaxia Accord, the first equal treaty the hegemony had ever entered into with another species. The terms were simple: mutual recognition of sovereignty, non-interference in internal affairs, and a commitment to resolving disputes through diplomatic channels. As the human fleet prepared to depart, Admiral Chen met with Elder Tivsorix in a garden overlooking Calaxia Prime's capital city. You could have destroyed us, the ancient alien observed, yet you chose restraint. Why? Chen smiled. Because destruction is easy, Counselor. Building something new, something better, that's the real challenge. She gazed up at the stars, visible even in daylight through Calaxia's thin atmosphere. Humanity didn't survive its darkest days by learning how to destroy more efficiently. We survived by learning how to adapt, how to cooperate, how to see possibility where others saw only devastation. Tivsorix nodded slowly. Perhaps after 5,000 years of teaching others, it is time for the hegemony to learn. As the quantum ascendant prepared to return to Earth, Commander Maya West stood on the observation deck, watching Calaxia Prime shrink in the distance. Lieutenant Corey joined her, datapad in hand. Intelligence reports the hegemony is already beginning reforms, he said. Several client races have been granted increased autonomy. Maya nodded. It's a start. Do you think they understood the most important part? Corey asked. What's that? That we weren't bluffing about the Nebula Spear being just a scout, he replied. That there are technologies we possess that make even our quantum weapons seem primitive by comparison. Maya smiled. Let's hope they never need to find out. As the human fleet engaged their quantum drives and disappeared from normal space, the message they left behind echoed through the hegemony and beyond. The age of domination was over. The era of cooperation had begun, and humanity, once dismissed as primitive and irrelevant, had emerged as not just a power to be reckoned with, but as the catalyst for a fundamental transformation of galactic civilization. They had thought humans were primitive. Now, they knew better.